All right, so we're going to start from where we left off, which was setting up our basic boundary. You can see I've got a 100 millimeter by 30 millimeter bounder box. That's just going to help me make sure that I am within the required dimensions. I don't really need that because I know exactly what dimensions I need to use for the basic keychain that I'm going to do here in this video. So let's get right to that basic keychain. I'm going to start by going to the rectangle tool. I've used the circle recently, so it looks like a circle, but it's the same tool. I'm going to click on rectangle, and I'm going to go to this to the origin, and I'm going to click and drag, and I know exactly what my dimensions are, so I'm going to type them in. I want to make this rectangle 85 by 30. So I'm typing 85, 30, 85, 30, and I'm going to hit enter. You can see there's my rectangle. So I'm in good shape right now. So right now, once I have something drawn, I'm going to take the time to readjust my view. I'm going to do that by clicking and holding my mouse wheel and just using that orbit tool there. And you can see I'm looking basically straight down or about straight down on my object. And that's a view that I like to use. I think it gives me a pretty good view of what's going on. So you can see, because I do have that boundary box, that I haven't completely filled in my 30 by 100 or 100 by 30 area. And that's because I wanted to do something nice here, or something a little nice. I'm going to go to my circle tool. I'm going to go over to this end, this right end, and I'm going to find the midpoint. You can see I found that pretty easily just by going to about the middle of the object. It's going to auto-select a midpoint, and I'm going to click at the midpoint and then drag my circle to either endpoint. You can see either endpoint would give me the exact same thing. And if you notice, that comes right up to the edge of the that boundary box, which is good because that's what I meant it to do. I'm going to get my eraser tool now, and I'm going to just erase these internal lines, so that little curved line and this little straight line. So now I've got just the outside shape, and this is my basic keychain shape. I'm going to get the push-pull tool, and I'm going to push-pull that, just drag it up, and then I'm going to type the push-pull height, which we know from our requirements document that's 3 millimeters. So I'm going to type 3 and hit enter, and you can see that push-pull is exactly where I want it. I need to do two more things really to make this 3D print something that I would 3D print, and that's I need to make a hole and I need to include text. So I'm going to go back to my circle tool, and I'm going to try and find the center of this line. So you can see I kind of grabbed right here where I knew that line started. You can see that that I kind of drag that line across as I go until I get to the center. I'm going to click there and drag, and I'm just going to make it whatever size I want. That looks pretty big, but I actually do want a hole that's going to be of a decent size. And once I have that circle made, I'm going to go back to my push-pull tool, and I'm going to start pushing this, but then I'm going to let go of my mouse, and I'm going to type the height that I know this circle needs to go back down. So if I push-pulled up 3 millimeters, it makes sense that I'm going to push-pull down 3 millimeters as well. So I don't need to type -3, just 3 and enter. And you can see, because I have that green back there, you can see that that hole definitely cut through, and I've got a solid keychain shape here. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is add some text to this, and I'm going to do that. I go to the rectangle tool, the circle tool. It's the bottom option in all of those. It says 3D text. So I'm going to click on 3D text, and I'm going to type in some text. Now, you need to keep in mind a few things with your text. Number one, I would say the more text you write, the smaller it's going to be, and the smaller it's going to be, the less likely it is to print well. So I'm going to make my text something short and sweet so that it will print, it should show up pretty well. So I'm going to type, let's see, how about STEAM? That's pretty good. That's a good class, I heard. Good teachers. The height of this text is something that's interesting, but what's really important is the text extrusion, and that's how far off of the face of the object this text gets pulled. And that limit from our document, we know that that's 2 millimeters. So I'm going to go back to the height now, and I'm going to try this height at, I'm going to try it at 15 millimeters. Now, if you knew, that's about half of my total width, so I think that's pretty good. I'm going to click OK and see what my text looks like. So look at that. It fit in pretty well. and that's a pretty good placement for it too, I feel like. So I'm going to put that right there. And now I've got my text, I've got my hole, I've got my 3mm push-pull, and I'm pretty much ready to take this file and write it to an STL. So that's another video. This was a simple keychain shape. Hope you enjoyed.